Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today we will have a webinar on generative AI on AWS. We will be using AWS as a platform to have an overlook of how the generative AI can help us and building a secure and scalable and enterprise-ready AI solution. Before that, I would like to introduce myself. I am a solution architect working for TecBrix. My background is with data analytics. I have worked for 5 years, mainly focusing on data migration and creating enterprise reporting dashboards and reporting. And today, our topic mainly is the generative AI. So, what is basically generative AI? It's a technology which comes out of the artificial intelligence, and it has been used to create a content, a text, and even more other form of output. We can have it like videos and images we can create it. So today's agenda would be we will overview the generative AI services and what are the capabilities on AWS. Then we will focus on what are the main foundational models that accelerate the business transformation and it's been used in AWS. And other than we have to focus on how we can have a secure customization and governance models for enterprise AI. Then we will look at the scalable inference pipelines and responsible AI practices. And in order to achieve end-to-end implementation, we will look at end-to-end GenAI adoption from experimentation to enterprise deployment. And we will also look at the real-world use cases, how organizations automate processes and deliver the next Gen AI experiences. So let's get started with the first. The overview of Gen AI services and capabilities. Our platform is AWS, and AWS provides us with the AI customization on AWS. So Bedrock is the first application we can get started with. It has pre-native models, which are based on foundational models, which uses Meta and Anthropic from the cloud. In order to test your model for the GenAI, you can use it. It's really simple to use it when we are trying to figure out how we can set the GenAI for our requirement. Bedrock uses a private model customization. Well, it uses a virtual private connection to secure your data within your organization that is established on cloud. So no public access is given. So data reside within the organization, and the people who are authorized to access that data, they have the access only. And with the enterprise fully data isolated in your AWS account. So wherever you are in the globe, you use your account credentials to access your data on the cloud. And only the people who have the access given to view, they can view the data. Other than that, no other personnel will have the access to the enterprise data. And data is encrypted in transit when it's transformed from one source to other, and within the cloud when it's stored, it's also encrypted. So it is encrypted at transit and at the rest. KMS enabled encryption method has been used to make sure the data is not readable and it is encryptable. It uses data residency controls which comply with iOS certification, SOS, and GDPR and HIPAA, because these are the required data protection policies and certification. And AWS actually complies with and apply on their products. Then we will focus on the governance and responsibility of AI. Bedrock have a function called guardrails, which act like policies which we can create it on top of Bedrock, which ensures like what data should be shared and what content could be shared. It acts like a filter, and we can apply it to protect the data and enforce our own policies. And it shows a safe output, and we can share it with the required people. And AWS also integrate with IEM, and it's provide a role-based access where we define the access for each end users, and it restricts any unauthorized access. And it provide the accountability track where we can look at each individual groups who have the access for which account and for which purpose. Then we come to the model evaluation and testing. Pipelines are actually mainly created in SageMaker. Pipeline is in terms of a process as a workflow. It's take the data from your source. It could be a legacy system or any other source system. It could be manual files. It go through some processes which we call is data preparation. It depends how you're going to use it, but as a best practices, we make sure we remove any unbiased result, and we make sure the data is readable, the good quality data which doesn't have any duplicates and empty values. So that data is prepared for model testing and evaluation and used for the machine learning operations. The workflow provides a transparency and lineage. Here we can track from which source system the data comes and what functions and cleaning steps has been taken into the pipeline, so we can track those data sets. So each data set, we can track their source, from where it came, and what operation has been done to clean the data, and what models are being done. When we focus on generative AI, we can look at what prompts we have given to it. These are most likely the default prompts which we give to the model, and we can also look at the version of the models to view how each other version are different than other. The newer model have like more features as compared to the previous model. In order to ensure enterprise controls, we use private connectivity. As before we mentioned, the connection is used is a private or virtual private connection endpoints. So you are connected within your organization or within your cloud, and no other public access is given. So only the chosen people with the specific permission have the access to it. And we classify the data and do a tagging on them to make sure for the internal users to understand which data comes from which system and what's the purpose of the data itself. And it provide help later on for the documentation, where we document we have used certain data set for certain purposes. So this was the overall view of the generative AI services and the capabilities. Now we'll move on to look at the scalable inference pipelines and responsible AI practices. When we focus on the scalable AI inferences on AWS, we are mainly first starting with the SageMaker endpoints. So when our model is being deployed and tested, and it's based on the real-time inferences, what we require is scalability. So as our data grow, we need more compute and resources to train the model and conduct the model evaluation. So it auto scale the requirement for the real-time inferences. Then we have a batch transformation. There's a large data sets are used, and most of the time we transform the data into the batches because of the nature of the data. It's large itself, and it's done in an offline prediction basically on those data, and it makes sure that each batch have calculated prediction. For example, if we have sales of a product sales, it uses the historical sales to get the prediction, and prediction is basically based on the model which we use it. Elastic inferences. Over here, for the model training and evaluation, it uses the GPU acceleration to make sure the cost is reduced, because all the models of GenAI and other related which use AI uses a compute GPU computation. And these GPUs are specifically designed to do the computation for the GenAI and other related computation. And AWS, these are deployed on EC2 as a compute, and SageMaker is the platform where we create the pipelines for the GenAI. And it provides a service inferences, and these again doesn't have initial infrastructure. It automatically scale based on the requirement and based on the demand we require it. And to provide a high availability on multiple zones for the enterprise workloads. Multiple zones are used. If one zone is down or is offline, it simultaneously switches to zone to A or B, which is available. So it provides a smooth workloads of the enterprise workload. And it is important to have responsible AI practices. When we focus on generative AI, it generates results. In most of the cases, it creates results which are biased and doesn't provide us the fairness check. But using SageMaker, it removes those hurdles because it uses bias detection beforehand. So it removes any biases in the result and provide a fairness check validation, and it provide the result without any biases. Example, it could be based on ethnicity or the data or the geographic location. SageMaker also provide another function for basically for the business users. It's provide explainability where it's interpretate the model into simple language and user-friendly, where you can understand how the model is going to perform and what step it takes and what is the expected results. So SageMaker really addressed this issue. And in data and AI, we have to look at the auditability and the lineage tracking. So we track those data sets and the models. And with the SageMaker, we can track our data set in the workflow and the pipeline, what are our sources, and we can reach out to that particular source or data steward if we want to get more data or if we want some clarification. Model version logging provide us with the version that has been updated, and the model is using which version of that model. In most of the cases, we are using the latest model because the latest model will have the new features, added new prompt and new functionality to those that. But we have to keep a track of each version, so we can look at the back, the base version or the first version, what is the main core coding has been used, and throughout the other version, we make sure we have the consistencies there, and it's really good for the documentation if we have to go through and look at the commercial modeling. Access control and data privacy. To provide access within the organization, we have to have some policies and access control. So in our case, we are using AWS IAM, which is a single solution for signing, where the user sign in. Before that, we make sure and get information which person should have access to which services. And we use virtual private connection, which isolate from the public network. And data is encrypted when it is transferred, which is in transit. So data is not readable, it is encrypted. And when we store the data in the cloud, in an S3 bucket or in a data lake, it is also encrypted. So at the both sides, we make sure the data is protected and any unauthorized access cannot read the data. The key AWS tools, SageMaker. This tool is really important for creating machine learning pipelines And it goes beyond that. We clean the data, we make sure which features we are going to use for machine learning and which model, and it automates those workflows. We schedule them basically on our requirement, and all entire process within this workflow from start to the end, it is automated. So manual intervention is only required when there's an alert or when there is any breakdown. Other than that, the workflow is automated. In order to monitor and look for the pipeline's logs, we use 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, which monitor each pipeline on a daily basis, and it provides us an alert and statuses also via email, which provide us certain pipeline has been completed and certain pipeline stopped at certain stage. Later on, we can investigate what went wrong into that and fix that issue. So CloudWatch really provides us overall monitoring. CloudTrail provides more like a logging for each days when each data sets the start time of the workflow in the pipeline. So we can look at the duration, when it started and it ended, and make sure us to provide us with the duration. It is really good for the developers. Later on, they can optimize if the workflow is taking more than expected time to complete. Then we will look at to the end-to-end AI adoption, from experimentation to enterprise deployment. Before moving to that, we will look at the right-hand side. We have a flow chart. Organization use this chart to implement GenAI into their organization. The first step they have to conduct is experimentation, most likely the POC. So over here, they use AWS Bedrock, where there are pre-trained foundational models, which are based basically on Anthropic and Meta. These provide them with pre-trained model and prompt, and they can evaluate the models and create the POC for the given data, and they can understand and get more information. It's a good starting point for them, instead of using SageMaker, the earlier stage, which has much more as a platform, provide you customizable models. Basically, you can write your models in Python and R. So after the experimentation and POC, you get some results and understand the data it's generating. Then the next step comes into model training. Model training is required to make sure the response from the prompt or the content it generates is much more accurate and based on our requirement. So the model training includes the other data also, and we add more of the features into the model training. Fine-tuning is again the part of model training, where we make sure the data used for training is a properly clean data, and the model can evaluate and train based on this model. And here we remove any unrelated information which is not used for model training. So fine-tuning basically means we are reducing some data fields from the main data sets which are not used in the data model and training. Once the model training is done, then it has been bring to the scalable inferences pipelines. So here the entire workflow has been created. We already got the source, we got the data preparation step, and we got the model training. Then we make sure for inferences, the pipelines are scalable as our data grow and there is a real-time inferences. So these automated scalability has to be enabled. So over this state, scalable inferences pipelines, the model is ready, but it has to be integrated and implemented into the other applications, such as the enterprise application. So here we can integrate into application into the enterprise, either via API or through a web applications where the end user will be able to interact with the Gen AI services. And the integration is seamless. It doesn't require extra coding and extra effort is required. Once it has been implemented into the enterprise application, we make sure the governance and responsible AI has been managed. Over here, we again focus on like it doesn't provide as unbiased detection results, and it should be based on fairness regardless of the data. At the end is the enterprise deployment and continuous improvement. So it is deployed. Once it's deployed, went to the production, it goes to the customer, and we take the feedback from the customer and from the internal team to continuously improve the result it provides. So it's an iterative process. We keep on improving it based on the feedback we get from the customer and from our internal team. So ideation and experimentation, it uses Bedrock as the starting stage because it's based on the pre-foundation model, which is easier for you to get to understand and do the experimentations. Once you are able to understand which model you're going to use for your data, you can do much more customization using SageMaker. SageMaker provides you with more control and customization if you have your own custom code for machine learning to create a Gen AI. Because this will help you with the rapid POCs where you can look at the value it's going to be creating in your POCs and you can move forward with that. You can use the provided prompt engineering, or you can have your own custom prompt in the SageMaker, depends on your requirement. And it helps with your model evaluation where you can evaluate your model. Is it giving you the accuracy score to the expectation or is it not? Then you can again do some tuning to the model to get proper scoring for your model. And it is deployed on a sandbox environment. It is basically good for fast iteration when we are doing a lot of changes and modifying the model itself. It's really good for use the sandbox environment. Is it good in the terms is like you can deploy it right away. It doesn't require additional infrastructure, and you can actually look at each and every version of that, how different than the latest version. Data preparation and governance. Secure data ingestion with AWS sources like Glue, Redshift, S3 buckets there, and lake transformation. You can get your data from any source like legacy system, and you can store into this given AWS storage solutions. The data is secured there in terms like it's encrypted, and it provides with a lineage where is your source of the data and where it's stored, and it's provided with the role-based access, which you can define it within your organization and assign a specific role for the team who is going to access the data and who will read the data, and ensure the quality. In the data preparation, we remove the quality issues, which are usually data standardization. We standardize the data. It could be like standardizing the dates, other columns could be there, removing the duplicates, and assigning default values for empty values or empty fields. Because later on we require the data for the model training, and it has to be proper data which is clean and the model can understand. If there is any empty values or duplicates, it will implicate the model evaluation and it will really affect the quality of the Gen AI going to create the result. Model customization and training. Using SageMaker, you can have your own custom models, fine-tuning. You can write into Python code or into R language, and custom embedding, you can do it. It's really good for the developers who have their own custom models already trained and they have to use it inside the Amazon. They can use the SageMaker. It could be either reinforced model, and they can continuously use it to improve their current model. Then we focus on the scalable deployment and integration. Deployment is scalable as your resources requires for the data increases and the more user base increases. So it is automated scalably. Your infrastructure will scalable and provide you low latency interference using SageMaker endpoints and along with the Bedrock agents. So you will get closer to real-time response from the SageMaker and the Bedrock agents. And you are able to integrate with your organization application. Either it could be like an API you are using in an application, and you can manage those workflows. And it provides with a multi-account architecture. When you are in experimentation phase, you can use dev, and when you have done the model training and fine-tuning, you can use the test environment. Once you have done all these activities, that's your data, get the proper response. When it comes to implementation and deployment, you have to go to the production environment where the architecture is designed to provide you at a enterprise scale level, and it uses the production data. We have to monitor the operation to make sure we are achieving the optimization at the highest once the deployment has been done to the production. We absorb it by having looking at some of the metrics which we give us the workflows. It provides a start time and end time, and also it provides us drift detection. If there is any failures there, it will provide us with any alert is there. And cost optimization comes in here when our data in production get increasing. It increases the scalability based on the requirement, and it also optimizes the inferences based on the requirements. It optimizes the GPU requirement. So these were the all entire process, how to deploy it end-to-end GenAI into an organization level and the stages. Now we'll focus on the real-world use cases. How does these use cases help the organization, and how they're going to deliver the next generation digital experiences? The first most is removing any manual work, and it focuses on automation, intelligence process automation. If you have a lot of documents and any other approvals which require a lot of manual human-based work or task, this is really applicable for that, and it can replace those manual-based work. It automates document reading, processing, extracting the data from out of them. Once it's done, it's sent directly to the concerned person or the management, so you can get the approvals on the platform in the same workflow. The person doesn't have to go physically or has to manually email to get those documents approved. Process automation also means once the workflow is created, it's automated, it gets a source defined, and it gets the data what it's required, and it automatically clean the data in the data preparation phase, do the model training and evaluation, and create as the result. So throughout the workflow, it is automated. And it is AI-driven routing, where it detect any anomaly or any error is there, and it give us the alert via an email, so we can look into that and investigate those issues. In overall, the result is it reduces any manual effort and provide us with a lot of reduction based on manual people required to work on it. Other use case, basically we are getting more information of the user experiences and their interaction. This is more like personalized digital customer experiences. The customer interact on multiple platforms nowadays. Either it's on a web application, mobile phone, social media, another one. So how does GenAI integrates with this. It gets all the data from different platforms, and it creates a profile which provide a real-time personalized ads and campaign throughout the platforms. Could be mobile apps, web pages, and other social media platforms. And it's integrated with the chatbots, which actually provide the response based on the customer behavior and their personalized profile. Virtual assistants provide more specific area based on the customer requirement. Chatbots provide information in just more like a general overview, and it provides multilingual support by generating content based on the customer requirement. If the customer is looking for a product, it will provide a product description. Other dynamic content is the image it will provide. If the customer requests a trial video of the product, it will generate a video of that specific product. So it generates dynamic formats from text to summary, images, and videos based on the customer response and the prompt the customer gives. Other part, basically it's used in manufacturing, where we are trying to get smart operation and predictive insights. How does it work over there is each and every machine or the fleet have a sensor or IoT sensor which provides with live data and the status of the machine. And the model basically look at that data and understand what are the peak times that machine or the fleet is being used, and it predicts what time will be the next maintenance would be there. And this next maintenance provide the maintenance team to gather their resources and plan ahead and replace the machine and the fleet. It saves time and reduce the cost because the maintenance team is able to plan ahead the maintenance schedule and the resources and the equipment they need to replace it. So any machine or fleet breakdown has been reduced while it's on work or on the production line. And AI-driven monitoring, basically it monitors those equipments continuously and getting their statuses and provides alert. For the AI, IT, and the cloud operation also, it generates automatic alerts. At the first it will give you a warning when it's about to break down, and when it's almost break down, it will give you a alert that you have to intervene, install the machine, and you have to replace the machine, or you have to do a maintenance on it. This actually provide us the root cause analysis at what time, at what factory the equipment required attention and it has been maintained, and for the fleet, at which road, at which street it has been stopped working. So it provides with the root cause analysis, and the team can work swiftly once they get these alerts. Then we are looking at the wider range omni-channel experience modernization. View the customer from different point of view, from the CRMs and ERP and data lakes. Here we personalize the customer behavior based on different platform they access. And an automated journey is being created for the customer who use different products and campaigns for that. And it creates the marketing, pricing, and the campaigns based on the customer behavior. Some product customer are most likely to buy it even they pay the premium price. So here the marketing campaign would show them in a way that product is premium and give them those relative prices. But in other cases, customer go for services where they require the services which provide the service at the lowest cost. Here the campaigns are highly personalized in a way to show them the lowest possible cost they occur while they go for certain services. The othermost focus is on the people itself, the human resource and the employees. So employees' productivity and how it can digitalize the workplace. It automates the HR ticketing, which is manual before, and it reduces that timing. So the employees can use the platform online, go inside and mention their tickets, any concern, and HR will get a layout and overview of each department from where the ticketing generates, and they can track and make sure there is very less backlog for the ticketing which is coming from the HR. And HR have the full workflow from which department the ticket came in within the HR, who has been assigned, and how much time took to resolve that ticket. And this is really important for the knowledge retrieval. Whenever there is a new employees introduced into the company, the knowledge can be shared with them and during the introduction, and this reduces the time for the new employment to get used to the organization culture and the way the organization works. Other applications are AI co-pilots, which is used for coding, which remove any syntax errors and provide you with the most best practices code generated. And those AI pilots create reports just right away based on your requirement. You do not have to manually create those reports, and it automates the manual task when we predefine those tasks in the workflow and in the pipeline. So later on, the entire flow is automated. Overall, it provides a productivity and efficiency in entire teams in the organization at the enterprise level, because it integrates with different departments within the organization: sales department, finance, and HR. Thank you all for joining the webinar, the Generative AI on AWS. It was a pleasure to host this webinar, and you are most welcome, and hopefully see you at the next webinar.